The world of theater has lost one of its brightest lights. Sir Tom Stoppard, a true giant of stage and screen, celebrated for his brilliant wit and dazzling intellect, has passed away at the age of 88. His agent confirmed he died peacefully at his home in Dorset, England, with his family by his side. Stoppard was a literary titan, a man whose command of the English language was so total he was often compared to Shakespeare himself. Tributes are already pouring in from around the globe, with figures like King Charles III remembering him as one of our greatest writers. But here's the thing, while the world mourns the celebrated playwright with a staggering 5 Tony Awards for Best Play and an Oscar for Shakespeare in Love, many don't know his other identity. This titan of the stage was also one of Hollywood's most sought-after secret weapons. He was the uncredited genius who polished the dialogue for some of film's most iconic adventures, leaving his mark on blockbusters loved by millions who may have never even known his name. Before we delve into his incredible life, if you appreciate stories about the titans of arts and culture, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the lives that shaped our world. The news of Sir Tom Stoppard's death on November 29th, 2025 sent a shockwave of grief through the arts. A statement from his agent celebrated the brilliance and humanity of his work, as well as his wit, his irreverence, his generosity of spirit, and his profound love of the English language. It's a sentiment being echoed by countless colleagues and admirers. Among the most moving tributes was one from Buckingham Palace. In a heartfelt statement, King Charles, who called Stoppard a dear friend, wrote, "A dear friend who wore his genius lightly. He could, and did, turn his pen to any subject, challenging, moving, and inspiring his audiences, born from his own personal history." It speaks volumes that his passing was marked with such personal sorrow from the highest levels of British society. He wasn't just a playwright, he was a national treasure whose influence stretched far beyond the stage. To understand the genius of Tom Stoppard, you have to understand the incredible journey of Tomáš Strojsler. He was born in Zlín, Czechoslovakia, in 1937 to a Jewish family. When the Nazis invaded, his family had to flee. This early experience of displacement would echo throughout his work. They escaped to Singapore, but that refuge was tragically short-lived. As Japanese forces advanced, his mother fled again with her 2 young sons to India. His father, a doctor who stayed behind, was killed. In 1946, his mother married a British Army major, Kenneth Stoppard, and the family finally settled in England. The young Tomáš became Tom Stoppard, later saying he put on Englishness like a coat. He bypassed university for journalism and then became a drama critic. This unconventional path gave him a unique perspective, that of both an insider and an outsider. It allowed him to play with language, culture, and philosophy in ways no one had before. He'd lived through the dramatic upheavals of the 20th century, and that history was etched into every line he wrote. Then came 1966. At the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, a play by a largely unknown writer premiered. It was a funny, clever, and deeply philosophical story about 2 minor characters from Shakespeare's Hamlet. That play was Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. When the National Theatre staged it in London the next year, Tom Stoppard became an overnight sensation. The play is an absurdist tragicomedy, following Hamlet's doomed friends as they wander through a tragedy they can't comprehend. They're trapped in a story they didn't write, subject to forces beyond their control. A powerful metaphor for the human condition. The dazzling wordplay and existential questions became Stoppard's signature. It won him his first Tony Award for Best Play in 1968 and announced the arrival of a revolutionary new voice in theater. And that was just the beginning. Over the next 6 decades, Stoppard built a body of work that is simply unparalleled. He was a playwright of big ideas, tackling everything from moral philosophy in Jumpers to the collision of history and art in Travesties. For Travesties, which premiered in 1974, he won his 2nd Tony for Best Play. His 1982 play, The Real Thing, a searingly smart and emotional look at love and betrayal, earned him a 3rd Tony. Then came what many consider one of the greatest plays of the 20th century, 1993's Arcadia. It masterfully weaves together landscape gardening, chaos theory, and romantic poetry, jumping between the 19th century and the present. It's a breathtaking work about truth, time, and the tragic loss of knowledge. His ambition was boundless, leading to the 9-hour trilogy, The Coast of Utopia, in 2002, which explores the lives of 19th century Russian intellectuals and earned him his 4th Tony Award. While he was conquering the stage, Stoppard was also building a quiet, formidable career in film. He co-wrote Terry Gilliam's masterpiece Brazil and adapted J.G. Ballard's Empire of the Sun for Steven Spielberg. But his most fascinating movie contributions were often the ones without his name on them. Which brings us back to that secret. In the late 80s, Steven Spielberg brought Stoppard in for an uncredited dialogue polish on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. According to Spielberg himself, Stoppard was pretty much responsible for every line of dialogue in the film. He's the one who perfected the witty banter between Indy and his father, Henry Jones Sr., turning them into one of the most beloved duos in action movie history. It's a perfect example of his genius, taking a great story and making it unforgettable with his unmatched gift for character and language. In 1998, Stoppard's film career hit its peak. He and Mark Norman co-wrote the screenplay for Shakespeare in Love. It was a romantic, witty, and wonderfully inventive story of a young William Shakespeare finding his muse for Romeo and Juliet. Stoppard's fingerprints are all over it: the clever literary jokes, the sparkling dialogue, and a deep, infectious love for the theater. The film was a massive success, winning 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Stoppard and Norman took home the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. The Best Picture win is still talked about today, as it beat Steven Spielberg's harrowing war epic, Saving Private Ryan, a victory many attribute to an aggressive awards campaign. But no one argued about the script. It was hailed as a work of comedic and literary brilliance. In his later years, Stoppard turned his gaze to a history he had spent a lifetime processing. In the 1990s, he discovered the full truth of his heritage, that all 4 of his grandparents were Jewish and had died in the Holocaust. This profound discovery led to his final, and perhaps most personal masterpiece, Leopoldstadt. Premiering in 2020, the play follows a prosperous Jewish family in Vienna from the turn of the 20th century through the horrors of the Holocaust. It's a deeply moving, semi-autobiographical work that grapples with memory, identity, and the crushing weight of history. The play was hailed as a monumental achievement, and in 2023 it won the Tony Award for Best Play. It was a historic 5th win for Stoppard in that category, cementing his legacy as one of the most decorated playwrights in Broadway history. From a refugee boy who put on Englishness like a coat, to a knight of the realm celebrated as one of the greatest writers of his generation, Sir Tom Stoppard's life was as remarkable as any of his plays. He was a writer of dazzling intellect and profound humanity. He taught us that a play of ideas could also be a play of heart, that comedy could hold tragedy, and that language itself was the greatest adventure of all. In his tribute, King Charles quoted one of Stoppard's own lines, "A fitting thought for a man who saw the world in such extraordinary ways. Look on every exit as being an entrance somewhere else." Tom Stoppard's exit from our world is an immeasurable loss, but his work is immortal. It will be performed, studied, and loved for generations to come. What's your take on Stoppard's legacy? Share your favorite play or film of his in the comments below. Let's celebrate the life of a true literary giant.